There is a well-known tradition that a rabbi would say, before I say something, I want to say something. So I thank the rabbis for making it possible for me to be a congregant along with you and for me to learn alongside you as well. One of the things that we've always known when we listen to our Beth Torah rabbis is the element of kindness. So the story is told about a person who was an itinerant preacher, and he used the opportunity on Shabbat Shuvah to lambast the congregation very badly, so badly that people walked out on him. And he went to the Dubna Maggid, the person who was really known for being the absolute expert in being an itinerant preacher. He says, I don't understand. I told them about all of the violations they were doing on Shabbat and all the violations they were doing about kashrut and all the violations they were doing about talit and tefillin, and they walked out on me. He says, you don't understand. You have to have a loving experience with them. It's not all about shouting at them. So we always learn and so much appreciate that Rabbi Farber first, and Rabbi Roisman, now as our senior rabbi, make sure that we have something that we can quote about kindness. So I'm going to try to follow their examples. First, I can't believe that this privilege is to be with you again, Shabbat Shuvah, and maybe for Yom Kippur coming up to have a little bit more meaning embedded in it, and maybe beyond Yom Kippur as well. And so there's this classic story about a wise rabbi. He had known of a long-standing feud between two congregants and summoned them each to meet with him individually. And he convinced each of them that they would stand in front of the ark with him. And just before anything was said, he says, I want you each now to offer a greeting to one another. And so one says to the other one, you know, as we start the new year, I wish you what you wish me. And the other one says to the rabbi, see, he's starting all over again. So perhaps you would have guessed that. But what it really tells us is we have to start the year without mistrust. So today, Shabbat Shuvah can be a kind of an antidote. It can be a way for you to mean something more, do something more, be aware of greater New Year's possibilities. It could be recognizing that there is a new quality path for our reimagined selves and for others, and it's the right time. Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach relates this incredible story. There was a secular Israeli professor of literature that came to a Hasidic rabbi with a surprise request. This professor was known infamously as being so secular, declaring that religion was foolish, that Jerusalem was no holier than Tokyo, and that only fools cared about Jewish ritual and tradition. Anyway, the story goes that one day the professor shows up in the Hasidic rabbi's office and said, he wanted to devote the rest of his life to Jewish education. And could he help him? The rabbi, knowing how stubbornly secular that this man was, brilliant professor, says, are you kidding me? Are you pulling my leg, or is this sincere? This is very sincere. Professor says, Rebbe, I'm so sincere, I have to tell you this story. During the Yom Kippur War, I was so badly wounded, bleeding horribly in an attack, and I realized I was going to die in 2 hours. So if 2 hours left in my life, what do? You know what? I'm a professor of literature. I'll think about Shakespeare. That will do it. Rabbi didn't. I said, okay, I've been a philosopher. I can think about the philosophy of death and dying. That will do it. Nope, that didn't do it either. But I could keep here in my memory my Zaidi, my grandfather, and his big tallis draped on his back, holding my hand and walking to shul with me on Yom Kippur. And the next thing my fondest memories were as a little boy, hoisted on my father's shoulders and dancing at Simchat Torah. And then I remembered the smells of Passover, of Pesach, the Seder table, smells of chicken soup and gefilte fish. And I remember my bubby and my mother always gave me so much comfort. I began to feel like, wait, my children and grandchildren, what would comfort them if they only had 2 hours left? But wait, they won't have those memories because I didn't give them to them. Then I began thinking about, is it really only the last 2 hours of your life that really matters? How do you live with that? What would you give them more? So I vowed there to God that should I be saved, I would devote my rescued life to Jewish education and live even more Jewishly. And Rabbi, the next thing I knew, I woke up in a hospital, having been saved by comrades who found me bleeding badly. And Rabbi, that's why I'm here, to have a new kind of life for myself. It sounds like an unbelievable story, of course. In its own way, it's our story. You see, your and my patterns are not cemented in place. That's what Shabbat Shuv is for. And I can feel that you have more yeses than you thought. Maybe today that's why you're here, and maybe you're giving me more purpose in my being here myself today in front of you. Rosh Hashanah was last week. We had a window of time to make life-altering decisions before tomorrow night starts, and during Yom Kippur, and perhaps beyond. So look at today's Torah reading with me. Moses, the main character in Devarim, the whole book of Deuteronomy, except for some times of God, knows that he won't get into the promised land, but God says, I want you to be able to see that land from this mountaintop. I want you to see what's the promised land to everybody else. He's assured of God's love for Israel, the future of the Jewish people. He's allowed to transmit that those who enter that land will have blessings. So in essence, who is Moses? He's taught them, led them, rebuked them, grieved for them, angry at them, but above all, he's left them eternal text, our Torah, as I mentioned before the Torah service went all the way through. So here it is, Moshe Rabbeinu. At this time, I'm reminded of the memorable TV promoter of appliances and convenient inventions. Some of you hadn't heard of it. It's Ron Popeil. Ron Popeil in a TV infomercial to keep your intention and your attention, he added what? But wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. I'll never forget that line. He didn't know it, but it was designed for Shabbat Shuvah. Can some of you remember that next line? Order now. 2 for the price of 1. Order now. There's a free recipe book. Order now. It'll be free shipping. For us, start to make a change in yourself. So many people will be affected by it. Give them more. That's what Shabbat Shuv is about. It's about your hearing a message and declaring to yourself, but wait, there's more. I'm thinking now of a person, a friend I've consoled, and only met by telephone and in writing while I was her hospice rabbi. I was also able to encourage her. I'll give her the name of Anna, not her real name. But years ago, she had recovered, as she told me, from a life-threatening bout with cancer. She said that not only was she grateful for recovering from cancer, she understood deep inside about fears. There are doctors here. They understand that sometimes patients don't know how to describe their fears. She intuited how many scary thoughts children have when they're stricken with horrible medical issues. They may fear losing their hair because of medication, afraid of, in advance, of the needle pokes that they'll have to undergo. They may be afraid that they don't have as much strength as they would have after all of their treatments. They're afraid of the pain. So Anna wanted to make sure that they could be given loving encouragement and commended for being brave and going through treatments. Her determination led her to create dolls for children fighting cancer, and she was the chief illustrator in this book that acknowledged how brave they were. And she used bees as the subject. The name of the book that she gave me is Be Brave with Me. I'm so proud about how, while she was tending my patient, Dr. Henry, of blessed memory, as he was dying, her beloved husband, she had a reservoir of resilience to bring comfort and understanding to children with horrible diseases. As she faced horrible possibilities with her own struggle with cancer and recovered, she didn't say, now I can relax. She said, but wait, there's more. You can hear that. There's more I can do. There's more impact I can have. There's more healing I could add to the world. The experience, this one, allows you to see yourself with new exceptional outlook, extraordinary ability to bounce back from whatever has been facing you and plaguing you and confining you. To give yourself more freely, to give people more of your patient listening, forgiveness, more benefit of the doubt, to listen more carefully to people you love and to people who don't quite understand your goals. The thought about, wait, there's more on Shabbat Shuv isn't for a TV commercial only, but instead I can invite you to apply the same thought to some of our lovely traditions in the Jewish community and in Judaism itself. I was invited by Rabbi Farber to teach 2 sessions for the conversion class of conservative Judaism, and I thank him for that. One about Shabbat and the other about kashrut. And in each session, I told the class about someone in my earlier congregational life 17 years ago who said, Rabbi, I'm climbing on my ladder, but I'm afraid I might fall off. So don't push me too hard, Rabbi, or I might fall off. Shabbat Shuv is about your ladder. Maybe it's the next rung you hadn't tried to climb. There might be 2 partners who are watching the screen today who are of different faiths. Maybe wait, there's more is inviting somebody not yet Jewish to embrace Judaism, to take an introduction to Judaism course, to learn about the richness of Judaism and the treasures in Jewish tradition. And you, if yours is not a kosher home, maybe could take on a small standard, maybe only kosher meat, or maybe no shellfish, or maybe it's only kosher food on Shabbat and on Passover. Could it be that you learn the words of the Kaddish in memory of parents and the blessings of the Torah in the original Hebrew? You might be open to coming or catching our Shabbat services closer to our 9:30 starting time to greet others or to be greeted, to give some thought to some of the earlier pages in the prayer book, or even say to yourself, maybe God, maybe there's more. Or start connecting with the Shema Yisrael prayer, 6 words, once a day, every day, sometime during the day. Maybe it's to try again to learn how to read Hebrew in the prayer book, or to follow the singing of the Torah during the service. Maybe it's to say that the synagogue has met your needs better through the COVID pandemic, found creative ways to make you feel connected to the synagogue, helped you to feel more at home with yourself. And some of us have increased our pledge since last year, or even some since last week. Isn't that a good example of, but wait, there's more? Some have been guided by me and some skill and synagogue abilities and melodies, as other people of the congregation have also taught them. Annette and I, we work with a trainer. You know what a trainer does? Lift a weight a little higher. She says it's about the millimeters, and thank you, Jody, you're telling us, but wait, there's more. I know that some of us are in a weight management program and have summoned determination to lose more weight wisely, answering our own call to ourselves. You know the next line, but wait, there's more. There are more Jewish links directly to Shabbat Shuvah. We get ready for Yom Kippur as we leave behind Rosh Hashanah, and each of those 10 days we say Avinu Malkeinu, except on Shabbat. What do we do about it? We keep asking God in the prayer, God, can you do this? Can you do this for us? Can you not forget us? Can you add blessings to us? Can you help us? But we then tell ourselves it's Shabbat Shuvah. Can you read Avinu Malkeinu again tomorrow on Yom Kippur and say, can I help? Can I do some of that? Can you, God, make me an agent, an instrument to change some of the problems in the world? Wait, there's more. For you, there is more. Could you dream about a first trip to Israel and feel an up-close and personal connection to our people? Maybe see Israel through the eyes of a Beth Torah rabbi or cantor. Forgive my being personal, but 13 years in being a hospice rabbi guided me to tell people, but wait, there's more. Your family loves you, wishes to be by your side regardless of how you look. Your friends care about you, invite you to just get the heck out of the house. You might have a terminal diagnosis. It doesn't mean your life is suddenly ending. You can continue to express love. You could apologize. You could grant someone forgiveness. You could be open to medications that make you a little bit more comfortable. So I'm thankful also that community of Miami and Broward allowed me to visit, pray, sing, laugh, and cry with patient families and patients. So the text in the Bible 2 weeks ago in the Tzavim says, V'shavta ad Adonai Elohecha. And as Daniel was able to chant for us today, Shuvah Yisrael ad Adonai Elohecha. Why do I bring this out? Because it doesn't say return to God, it says return until you're God. On the way up, somehow or another. Conveys the idea that God wants us to meet us part of the way of that return. We might have started. You know what? You could expand your role in synagogue affiliation as a volunteer, learn how to be a Beth Torah leader. There are people here today who will guide you. You could show new friendliness to somebody that is personally new here. Concern towards our synagogue members. That's the thought of, but wait, there's more. The verse that says you're returning towards the Lord, that means, can you hear God saying, I'm meeting you, finding you, reaching out to you? It also says, can you do better, improve, change better, have a better story about yourself? You know, you have your own stories. You know what a personal story is. It states that there is more to you than your biography or your business description. This is a fabulous story that is told true story, back in Tsarist Russia, where there was a court case and a young yeshiva student, a bacher not from Russia, was being charged with offenses. All of them had been contrived. In the middle of the court session, and some of you may have read this story elsewhere, a person walked in to testify. There was a hush in the court. The prosecutor came over to the judge and said, you know who that is? No, who's that? That's the Chafetz Chaim. What do you mean? Do you know that they tell a story about him that when someone stole a candelabrum from him, that he chased after the person that says, I renounce ownership so the guy would not be a ganaf, that the guy would not be a thief and would not be charged with theft. The judge says, I don't believe it. Prosecutor says, whether or not, Your Honor, they don't tell stories like that about you and about me. A year from now, what great stories should they be telling about us? Where they say he was a good person, but wait, there's more. He was such a good example. She was a role model for people for honesty. Out of the blue, she became a great volunteer for our synagogue. I can't believe that he got on the list to encourage people to donate more to Beth Torah, to Israel, to the Jewish Federation. The Shabbat of Shabbat Shuvah, it's for you and me to work out our own application of, but wait, there's more. Some of us have been stuck in a rut, may have thought that our lives were shallow, had minimal purpose, were only routine. Maybe a marriage has to be better worked at. Maybe it's to find a therapist. So here's the Shabbat Shuvah gift to you, but wait, there's more. God and others are waiting for you to echo back. Wait, there's more. I can do more. I can do better. I could be a better Jew. And God, I can prove it was worth it for you to give me more time this year and beyond. So may God give you the means to be a better you. May God let us view ourselves better simply because we became better. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.